Computer. Hey everyone, my name is Samaya from UX Woman, and I'm here with Andrea, who is a graduate of our 7-month UX Design MBA program. And we're just going to have a little conversation about, Andrea's process, her design process, and her job search process, as well as networking with alumni. So Andrea, could you tell me a little bit about your project and how you went about, creating it?
So when I started in Ideate, I have a fashion background. So I have a BFA in fashion design, and I worked in fashion for quite a number of years. So I was really used to the design process, creating physical product. So I knew I kind of wanted to stay in that kind of realm of, some type of fashion uh, focus. So, thought about a lot of things. I also worked in luxury retail for a little while, so I was interested in high-end fashion. When I was designing more like mid-priced fashion. So pretty much with my mentor, with Samaya, we kind of just threw out some ideas and just started um, thinking about like what could this project be. And one of the techniques that we used was a blue ocean strategy where we tried to find a niche that has high demand and low competition. And that took a little bit of research, but what I found was that there's a whole uh, focus in fashion that's not being addressed, and this like gender fluid fashion for a Gen Z audience, so non-binary people or people who you know are not fitting into those gender norms and wanting clothing that represents them. So this was like a high demand uh, user target that is not really being serviced by binary brands and fast fashion and big fashion brands out there. So that's how we kind of scoped the project to begin with, and then we went into research and the whole design process, which I guess we can get into further.
Yeah, yeah. I love that you chose such a niche topic that's a blue ocean. And it also, is that you have a lot of fashion design background. So could you tell me about, your personal story when it comes to fashion design and why this is so important to you?
Personally, for me, like I just really believe in inclusivity, authenticity. I think it's something that I'm afraid we're getting a little bit away from right now, and I just think it's really important. It's also just like just being in fashion and knowing a lot of people that do identify in different ways that don't, that are not like this binary, the way society has made us, and even like I have a daughter and all of her friends are Gen Z, very young Gen Z, but they do not, I don't know, very few of them do not conform to the binary system anymore. So it was really important to me to like who's speaking to this younger audience that's growing. They're only getting bigger. They're not getting smaller. So I think that that's really important.
Yeah. And it's funny, we were talking about ourselves as well, being more of a millennial. I wish I had had that freedom to not conform to the binary system. But when I grew up in high school, that's all that there was. And I felt this need to conform. I didn't even think of myself outside, the spectrum in which I was placed, right? Or the label in which I was placed. And I would love to now I'm much more open to that. And you had a similar feeling or
Yeah.
sentiment, when you were in, studying fashion design. So I think that's exciting. Or we all had that element in us, even though we were in generations that weren't as accepting of a non-binary system. But we still had that feeling that this can't be it, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I definitely didn't have that experience either when I was in high school and going even college a little more because I went to art school. But yeah, it was like you had to fit into very strict categories. And I think now if I was like 16, like I might be I mean I might, I was always female, identified female, but very loved masculine clothing, loved masculine looks. Like my mother would tell me I looked like a boy, like I dressed like a boy all the time. And I'm like, and I felt bad about it, but now I realize like that's who I am, and I could express that more now, and I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, me too. I have a more masculine side of myself that I don't always let out because society might not accept it. But now I'm a lot more comfortable letting that side of me show, which is interesting because I haven't thought of the fashion side of that yet. But I'd love to hear, how you kind of started to build your MVP, and what did it take to start to build a design system for it?
I mean, the first thing was, research. And like I said, I have a design background. I went to art school, so I really understand building product. I understand visual design. That part of it came naturally for me. Research was scary, I think. I would use that word, scary. And when I look back in my design experience, because I designed for major retailers in this country, like Macy's and JCPenney and Boscov's and Dillard's. So I mean, huge amounts of product. And we did research. We just didn't know we were doing research, right? We did competitive analysis all the time. We worked with buyers on a regular basis because we were really selling to the buyers first, and then the buyers would sell to the end customer. So we were always, what do they need? What are they seeing in the market? How are things changing? Like what is, maybe the southern part of the country needs things that are different than the northern part of the country, and or different parts of the year. You need things for, say, holiday season, or you know, in the summer, like people going away and stuff like that. So but I didn't really interview people, right? So I did a lot of research that wasn't like what I would consider research. So we started with research, and I think the hardest thing too is like finding people, because I was like afraid to approach people. I'm like, oh, I have to ask people, and I kind of have a little bit of a sensitive subject maybe. So that was the hardest part. But once, I mean, Samaya helped me a lot, a lot with that fear. But once I got over it and I started talking to people, like I had such authentic discussions, like heartfelt discussions with my participants, and everybody was like really willing to tell their story. And I like they really wanted to be heard, and I learned things from people, and I really felt like I would have never have had that connection with somebody and learned the things that I did learn if I didn't talk to them.
Yeah, yeah.
So it was a good experience.
That's a really great to hear. And I'm glad that you put yourself out there, as daunting and as scary as it can be. And I think when we wrote the interview guide together, all we were doing is really framing our questions in a more trauma-informed manner and being sensitive to that subject. And everyone's in a different part of their journey in terms of their exploration on gender and sexuality. And we just had to frame the questions in a sensitive manner, giving them the space to share as much or as little as they wanted to share. So can you talk about, how you tried to create that kind of space for them to share safely and freely, but without pushing them? Because I know it is a delicate subject.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think for me, and I mean, I don't know if I did it perfectly right, but I might have gone off script a lot of times. Like I had my guide, I had my questions, and I started out with that. But when people started talking, and I could tell that they really wanted to be heard and tell their story and to share it with me, because I felt like there was a trust, after a few minutes and everything. I let them do it. Like I felt like that worked for me, and I got a lot of good information that I think I might not have gotten if I had just asked the questions that I had.
Yeah,
Um, so that did really work for me, I think. Like people told me things that I had never expected to hear, and
yeah,
it really helped to shape my MVP and to really target like and focus on what they're saying that they want and what they need and how they feel and how they're not being heard, or how they are being exploited even in society and in in e-commerce, or like the way stores are treating uh you know uh June, because it's like like a Pride Month and stuff like that. So I learned a lot of things that I don't think I would have thought to ask them. So
yeah,
um and it's yeah, it's building rapport, it's being approachable, it's being willing to, I think, listen to
yeah.
what people are saying.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that you felt comfortable going off script. In the program, we talk about how not everything is scripted, right? And
Yeah.
moments in a conversation that are just natural and free flowing. And you just have to read the room and read the person, and kind of react from there. I'm also curious, once you'd heard all these pain points and frustrations and these, authentic stories, how did that shape your design process in Figma and kind of going into solving these problems from a different perspective?
So yeah, after I gathered everything, I definitely did my own research as well online, even competitive analysis of other brands out there. There's a lot of small brands that are doing non-binary clothing or gender fluid clothing. It's not very mainstream yet. I think it should get to that point. I hope it does get to that point. So I also like just kind of like polled like even my daughter and some of her friends and things like that. Like, here's some ideas that I have. Like idea A, idea B, idea I don't remember all the ideas at this point, but like what do you think would resonate with your audience, like with you as in your at your age and stuff like that. And we came my three biggest pain points I think that they had were size was an issue for everybody because if you're buying women's clothing, men's clothing, they're all sized for different types of bodies. And so size was definitely a big issue. How do you, when you're buying a different gender clothing, like how do you know what size you are? How do you deal with that? Another big pain point was, just self-expression. Self-expression was so important to my audience, like, because everybody has their own look. Everybody has a really important need to express who they are. And so, we wanted to be conscious of that. And the third thing that was kept coming up was affordability and sustainability because a lot of this target audience was talking about they really are concerned with, sustainability and, wastefulness and fast fashion and, just flooding, our world with all of these clothes that we don't need and stuff like that. And then how do you afford it? Like, but a lot of the brands that are sustainable are very expensive.
Mm.
So thrifting came up, the idea of thrifting, and a lot of people like thrifting for a few reasons. It's more affordable a lot of times. They got things that were maybe like more unique than they could get from like, like walking into a big brand store or something like that. And that seemed to resonate with them. So I came up with the idea that we could do like subscription boxes of almost like a Stitch Fix kind of business model because those business models are pretty successful and popular based on gender. I'm sorry, based on size and personal style, not gender, not based on gender. So that became Fluid's MVP. And I definitely looked at a lot of those businesses that do subscription boxes, even, makeup subscription boxes, or even different, it didn't have to be fashion, just seeing how they handle it and stuff like that. And then I used that when I was like, wireframing and getting into just beginning like all of the design, the visual design process
Yeah.
of Fluid.
Nice.
It's called Fluid. I don't know if I said that before.
Yeah, no, this is great. And do you think that you would continue to work on Fluid? And I know you kind of built the MVP and everything like that, but uh, is this something you could see yourself, turning into your own business or, bringing other folks on board to help you with this vision?
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely thought about it, and it's a possibility. Like I love fashion, and I'm still like so interested in it, even after my different incarnations in the fashion world. And I've been very interested. I mean, secondhand clothing and resale is such a big thing right now, and I feel like it's just well, we need it for sure, and it's something that I think people really want right now, especially like nicer clothes and things like that, or things that are unique. So, yeah, I've definitely thought about it, and I've thought about how fluid could, really become like really important in this market here.
Yeah, yeah. And talk to me a little bit about your job search and kind of what's going on with the job search, as well as the alumni support that you're receiving and networking with alumni.
Oh, I think like networking with alumni has been really good because like I've met like quite a few people. I mean, it's been mostly virtual, but
Yeah.
we have career coaching twice a month, and I feel like I always learn something when I go because I hear like what other people are going through, what maybe successes they've had, or what's worked with for them, or
Yeah.
just like I just feel like I always pick something up, and then also everybody's like really supportive, I have to say, and I think that's the most important thing. Like I really feel like that means so much to me, and as well as I try to be supportive of them, and everybody's rooting for everybody else. Like we all want everybody to be successful, and yeah, I even got to meet up with one. I had only seen uh this other person in my cohort virtually for all these months, and then she visited where I live, and we got to get together, and we got to have coffee, and we got to talk, and we got to like share resources and things like that. So it's nice to like get to see people in person as well.
Yeah.
um and then I'm sorry, what was the second you had a
Oh,
you
oh
had a
no,
second?
no. That was my question. I think kind of to wrap things up though, if you had any advice you could give someone who's just thinking about a career change into UX or going through their UX job search, what advice would you give them, based on what you've learned?
I think so if you want to go into UX, first of all, I would say, and you want to do a boot camp, I would say to do Ideate for sure. Because I think that they look at things much differently than other boot camps, and they're not teaching you cookie cutter and like you're just going to come out with the same portfolio and the same ideas. You're learning how to think critically. You're learning how to think from the business perspective of, you know, what this, product really could be in the market. What is even like, the feasibility of it, and how you could really develop it, in real life. And you can after you get out of the boot camp if you really want to. Um, the other thing I would say is think about, you know, I mean, this is what I would say anyway. I would think about like what kind of uh, industry do you want to get into? Do you want to be in ed tech or uh, fintech or femtech, or I mean for me maybe I'm thinking more fashion tech and stuff like that, and gear your project towards that because that's going to be like your capstone project in your portfolio. And I think that if you think about it that way, kind of like reverse engineer where you want to go, and also take into account your previous experience, because if your previous experience is in, say, healthcare and you don't want to be in healthcare anymore, just, I don't know, maybe take that into account. But like if you are in healthcare and you want to stay in that, you can build on those strengths, that background, that success, make your capstone project about healthcare, and then target those jobs when you get out of the program. And I think you'll be in good shape, to present yourself.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, Andrea. I really
Yeah.
appreciate you sharing your story. And yeah, thank you so much. I'm just gonna click pause now.